Hey y'all, it's Kim. So I don't know if y'all have seen the ABC interview with Donald Trump, but anyway, he's gonna really push back on this fact checking these people do during these interviews. I mean, he just really gave it to the guy because he's tired of being lied about, lied to, lied on, whatever you want to say, gaslit from the legacy media, and I don't blame him. And I'm glad that he's letting um, what are those new media voices, kind of like podcasters and influencers, people that have a pretty big audience online. I think that's pretty awesome. Uh, Obviously, I would never be there, but whatever. I'm sure I could do it. It would just be like I would probably feel overwhelmed to be in Trump's presence. I'm just saying because he's just a force of nature. I don't know. I've never seen anybody like him. But anyway, I mean, he just whether you love him or hate him, Trump is like everywhere. It's the craziest thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and let Miss Rita go here. Uh, Talking about that MS-13 dude and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure, but yeah, that's what basically Trump was giving the guy pushback on. So let's go.
It's time for Lefties losing it, and this is genuinely amusing. Listen here as the worst vice presidential candidate ever, Tampon Tim Walz, you remember him? The man famous for putting tampons in boys' bathrooms across his state. Well, he's revealed that he was selected by Kamala Harris because he could code talk to white dudes. Really, white dudes watching football and fixing their trucks were going to vote for this.
I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this.
Yeah, this guy is the Democrats' idea of masculinity. Yes.
No.
This dude.
No. Yeah. The jazz hands. Oh, please.
Yes, that's a picture of strength and masculinity. Just look at how well he loads a gun.
Like somebody says he's going to blow a nut off.
Now let's check in with the latest thing to be listed as inherently racist. You'll recall that everything from the countryside to working out has been labelled a sign of white supremacy. And now you can add to that list punctuality. Yes, being on time is white supremacy.
Being on time is white supremacy because what are they always on time to do? Oppress. I'm always going to be 10 to 15 minutes late because that's the correct time according to my people.
Now to the corrupt corporate media. President Donald Trump sat down for an interview with ABC's Terry Moran to discuss the first 100 days of his second term. Now, for the record, Terry Moran, you may never heard of him, is a classic lefty losing it. And he went about proving that straight away. He seems to think the billions in waste and fraud uncovered by the Department of Government Efficiency will result in no investigations or criminal referrals. Listen to how he frames this question.
We found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place, and we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering. Just a legal note fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department at any. Well, you don't know that, do you?
No.
How do you know that? Have there been referrals to the? Are there how would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were. They generally are. There's been no investigation from the Justice Department. How do you know that? I'm asking you, sir. You're not asking me.
You're telling him.
Now I'm asking you. There was a statement that you made. There had been. Have there been? Yes, there have.
Donald Trump wasn't putting up with that sort of nonsense. This was his response when asked whether he trusted Vladimir Putin.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him? I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview. And then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know, I mean, you're being dishonest. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
And you might be wondering why President Trump selected this particular ABC clown for an interview. Well, the president addressed that question.
That was Photoshop, Terry. You had that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry.
Really is wonderfully droll, and it did not miss the opportunity to remind the ABC and other media that they were complicit in the cover-up about Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline.
We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news. All right. Thank you. By the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
And let's not forget, it was only a few months ago that ABC gave President Trump an enormous payout to settle a defamation case. They never learn. Joining me now is journalist and author Batia Ungasargon. Batia, I have to say I did find that ABC interview enormously entertaining. What was your take, and did we learn anything new?
I think it's really interesting. The president, I think, sees his agenda as a very unifying one, which it is. He was elected with a mandate to bring back the glory of American life, American prosperity, the American working class, the dignity of working class Americans. And I think that he still wants that recognition from a mainstream liberal media that is utterly committed to representing him in the worst possible light. And you can see that he just is so confused because he knows that what he's doing is what he was elected to do. And yet he still experiences this constant contempt from the mainstream media. So it was very interesting to see them playing off each other in those designated roles, despite the fact that the country itself is so different.
It is, but when he selects these leftists to conduct the interview, he knows their form. They're not newcomers. Does he really expect anything different, or does he actually want to have that fight? Does he want to take them on?
Yeah, call him out.
It's very interesting because he recently met with a number of different journalists. There were 3 that he met with from The Atlantic, and then he sat down with the comedian and sort of political commentator Bill Maher. And in both of those cases, Bill Maher, of course, has criticized him very vociferously, but also the journalists from The Atlantic, everybody who he met with in those contexts talked about how charming he is and how when they met with him one-on-one, they were able to have really interesting conversations. And that he does come off in this very charming way, even when he is speaking to people who have criticized him. I do think that he has this feeling of things are so different now. He won the popular vote. He won every swing state. Every state in America moved to the right, in appreciation for what he's promising. So I think he is very sort of confused and stymied by the idea that they're still running that 2016 playbook again, still calling him Hitler, still calling him a threat to democracy, when it's clear that the country is behind him.
Well, you're not imagining it. Just about every news report on Donald Trump and his administration is negative. It is 2016 all over again. Analysis by the Media Research Centre found that so far this year, Trump's administration has faced 92% negative coverage.
That's ridiculous.
From ABC, CBS and NBC. That's 3 networks, but the leftist media is pretty much in unison in being anti-Trump fairly consistently, Batia. Is it having an impact with the public? Because, of course, Trump voters have a great distrust of the media. They're probably ignoring this coverage. But those swinging voters, surely it has an impact with them.
We just stop for a minute and talk about how utterly absurd it is that a man who won the popular vote is covered negatively 92% of the time. And Rita, it just points out the truth here, which is that it is not just the president that the elites and the media hate. It is the American people.
Oh, yes.
And the American people who want what he is offering. That contempt is not just for him, but for all of the millions of Americans who he represents. It's totally, totally absurd. I do think it is impacting independence. His polls are not great right now. And of course, he started out very unpopular. He's a polarizing figure. We have an enormous class divide. So, the election really was decided based on whether you have a college degree or not. A lot of Americans with a college degree have this very unhealthy obsession with him and hatred of him. So that could be up to 25% of Americans right there. And then you have independents who I think are very upset about the volatility in the market. But of course, we have to go through this period. We have to decouple from China. It is absurd how China has been eating our lunch, buying up our debt. We've basically, mortgaged our children's future out to China in exchange for cheap crap. It was always going to be a period of adjustment when you had somebody who had the courage to actually make that happen. And of course, President Trump is the only person who was willing to do that.
But and he's actually working. The tariffs. Do you think Donald Trump can withstand the pressure? Can he hold the line against China because he's facing enormous criticism? What he's looking to do is going to be a medium long-term plan, and in the short term there's going to be a great deal of pain.
Absolutely. Trump was almost killed twice last year. He's a man who feels that he faced his maker and he's on a mission, and he doesn't care what Wall Street has to say. I mean, he's so clear that he doesn't work for them and he's not answerable to them. He works for the American people and he's answerable to the American people. They have a few trade deals that are on the table that are being finalized that they keep saying are going to come out very soon, and I believe them. India, South Korea, Vietnam have been floated. We've already seen India and Vietnam impose tariffs on Chinese steel, which is an enormous, enormous win. But of course, the elites don't want to admit any of this because tariffs are class warfare on them, on behalf of the working class. So, if Wall Street was not livid, I would be worried that we were not doing the right thing here.
We've been talking about media lies, and who can forget the media's complicity in painting the violent BLM protests as mostly peaceful. Remember that image from CNN? People think it's AI these days, mostly peaceful protests as towns burned down. Well, the activists of the FBI who took a knee in solidarity with BLM, a neo-Marxist, anti-American, anti-police movement, they've been reassigned. CNN reports these reassignments are viewed as demotions by many inside the FBI and come nearly 5 years after the episode that ignited a great deal of controversy inside the Bureau. But Tia, I've got to say, I would have preferred sackings, but I think this is a good start. Sackings. These actions by activists within the FBI, within the Justice Department, they have caused enormous damage that really undermine the public's trust in these institutions.
I think that's a really good point. I remember at the time, actions like that were seen as unifying because you had all these protesters out there burning down these cities, and then you would have, members of law enforcement basically trying to signal, look, we're all, one country. We're all on the same side of this. We all want better policing. We all want fair policing. But I think you're totally right that what we know now about Black Lives Matter, which we didn't at the time, that it is such a, decrepit, amoral institution, does not represent Black people or a unification of this country around, the values that Dr. King espoused, but rather a real radical nature that does cast many Americans, including many police officers, as racist in a very damaging way. So it's really nice to see institutions taking stock of where we're at and a place like the FBI saying, look, we're going to stand for a very different kind of relationship.
Well, and if you keep calling people racist and Hitler and fascist and all these other names, eventually it just loses its meaning. I mean, the true meaning of racism is somebody that's actually actively going out and harming others because of their race or treating them so different. But I mean, sometimes you have to separate yourself from a group of people because they are, acting foolish, I'll just say, or whatever, whatever it might be. There's racism on every side. So, whatever with that. As far as calling somebody Hitler, that's insulting to the people that were under the Nazi regime. I mean, just Trump has not harmed people. He's only tried to help people. From what I can see, everything I've seen has been him trying to help the American people. And what's wrong with helping the country you live in? I don't really understand that. But I guess, they want a global society or communism or socialism or whatever, Marxism, whatever ism to spread throughout the world because there's oppressed and oppressors and all this other nonsense. I don't get it. I mean, we need to take care of home first, then you can help others. But whatever. Ugh.
Between us and the public, and we're not going to give them any excuses to see us as on one side or the other.
Look, I challenge the notion that we didn't know what BLM was back then. I think we knew that they were open about what they stood for. They were open about their Marxist ideals, the fact that the three founders identified as Marxists, that they were anti the nuclear family. This was all on their official website. They scrubbed some of that in later years. And yet we had, I think to me, it's as a grosser betrayal of the American people as the media's complicity in covering up Joe Biden's cognitive decline. The fact that the media went along with this group, with these protests, with this mass destruction and mayhem across America as if it was some progressive movement, rather than a really quite a destructive anti-American movement.
And it harmed their own neighborhoods.
In Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. I was one of the people who was calling it a racial moral panic at the time. I was, quite nearly canceled for it, almost, lost my job. And it was a very intense time because there was that feeling that the media was completely on the side of the activists. And I actually wrote a whole book about this called Bad News, How Woke Media is Undermining Democracy, about how basically the racial moral panic, all of this kind of far left woke ideology was a smokescreen for the ways in which the elites in the media and in politics and in tech and everything had become very wealthy at the expense of the working class. And so that wokeness and what Trump is doing with the tariffs and with immigration, it's all one and the same. He's fighting for the dignity of working class Americans, which was sold out by the Democrats who pretended that they were still representing the working class while actually themselves getting rich off of the backs of working class Americans. And then, of course, instituting these very, unsafe ideology around defund the police and so forth, which poor and working class people and people of color were the most negatively impacted by.
Well, one of the biggest stories in the US for the last week or two has been this so-called Maryland man, Maryland dad.
Dang.
And the way the Democrats have gone into bat for this illegal immigrant who was deported to El Salvador and is a gangbanger. 2 courts have found him to be a member of MS-13. Well, Fox News has obtained a second protective order that was filed against this man, Garcia, by his wife back in 2020, which she accuses him of not just physical abuse and threatening her, but she also said that she has a recording there where he says he can kill her and nobody can do anything to him.
Wow.
I am in shock, Patia, that the Democrats are going to war for this man. I mean, what a stupid hill to die on.
Yeah, it is a hill to die on. And that judge, I still don't understand why she would blow up her entire career over an illegal alien who was in courts, and she's supposed to be the judge in that case. I will never understood that. I mean, I could see it if it was an attorney doing it. Like if it was his attorney trying to just basically get him out of the courtroom, protect him however she or he could, whatever. But this lady took it upon herself to have this guy go out a side door or a private door just so that he wouldn't be arrested by ICE. Can you imagine the mindset you have to have, or how bad your TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, has to be? Like off the charts, suicidal, weapons grade TDS. I mean, like, are you serious? Why would you do that? I do not understand that. I can't for the life of me understand why she would, like, basically lose her license to practice law or whatever. I'm just saying, a judge, I mean, they still have to go through like law school and all that stuff to learn all this. And then when you become a judge, it's like you're appointed, I guess, or elected, depending on the judge, I guess. And then, like, why would you blow up everything you worked for over like this one person? That doesn't make any sense to me. I will never understand why they put these people on a pedestal. George Floyd, Luigi Mangione, like all these just not good people. They put them up as if they're a revolutionary or whatever. And I know that has to do with the whole Marxist thing and all this communism, and you're fighting against oppression and blah blah blah, whatever. It just does not make sense to me. Why somebody who's on the bench as a judge would do that for somebody she doesn't know, and she's not supposed to take a side anyway. She's supposed to interpret the law or whatever, apply it, do the judgment, whatever. I don't understand that at all.
It's really amazing that they're out here with their whole, like, je suis Kilmar, like, if they can come for the wife-beating gangbanger human trafficker, surely you are next in line.
Oh my gosh, that is so dumb.
It's totally amazing. They just love to white knight for criminals. And, I think some of it they didn't know when they started white knighting for him. But, the idea that this is a person who's worth, doing anything for. That there was a U.S. senator who flew there to shook his hand, the hand that hit his wife while she was holding her child.
That's sick.
It's so amazing. And all of the immigration hysteria right now of the babies that were deported, or
with their parents,
who criticized Israel, who are having their green cards revoked. It's all just hoaxes all the way down. And the reason for that is because Democrats have nothing. Trump has outflanked them to the left on the economy, and he's outflanked them to the left on being anti-war. And he's not even a social conservative, he's a moderate. So he basically stole the Democrats' pro-working class agenda out from under them, and they have nothing left to fight him with. All they have is what they're doing, which is, let's go rescue the gangbangers.
Yeah.
Let's stand for China and oppose tariffs, right? And let's try to get that border open again. It's so appalling.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Anyway, it's just amazing to me, these people, what they're willing to do to oppose Trump. Anything that's good for America, they're willing to oppose it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But anyway, I guess we could look at some of the comments real quick. I like looking at those. It's always amazing what people say. It says, I'm a college degree holding retired guy and I love President Trump. My professors were leftist morons, but they totally failed to indoctrinate me. Well, that's good. It says, I have a college degree, graduated with honors and a useful degree. I've never been educated enough to vote Democrat. MAGA all day, USA. Anyone with just half a brain and a little common sense can simply look back and see the direction our country was headed. Thank you, Donald Trump, from the bottom of my heart. That's cool. Says, I'm an Australian and I absolutely love President Trump and have been an extremely huge supporter of his since 2015. He is doing a phenomenal job of MAGA, and the Rita should be invited to the White House. Yes, she should. Can you imagine being late for an interview and blaming it on your skin color? Oh my gosh, yes. That girl that said if she's 10 to 15 minutes late because that's what's best for her people. What the hell? Well done, Mr. President Trump. I have degrees beyond college, and I'm happy with Donald Trump as my president. exercise is racist and being on time is racist. Just a damn excuse for being lazy. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Donald Trump tells the reporter, honestly, I picked you because I never heard of you. You go, Trump. What a buffoon. Trump tore him apart. Yeah, oh my God. Trump is the president of my lifetime. Thank you, Rita. The USA loves you. Yes, that's why I like watching Miss Rita, and that's why I share it with you guys. It says what we learned from that interview is that ABC and all the other MSM outlets will never learn. To the left of Donald Trump, I don't understand why the left liberals cannot get it through their heads. We wanted Donald Trump to be our president. That's why we voted for him. They need to get over their hate for him because it's going to be a long 4 years for them. We are over here celebrating Donald Trump, though, all for for all those media people that are saying that we regret our votes, they are deceived and so delusional. They want us to regret it, and they're probably looking at people that would consider like low hanging fruit in the MAGA base. I'm just saying, like that are worried about how the tariffs are going to work out. It's like just give it time. I mean, he's still cleaning up the mess from the Biden administration. That's the biggest thing. He's still cleaning stuff up, but he's working on behalf of the American people, whether the left is saying it or the news media is saying it. He's doing what he can to get all of these things done. I mean, he's put in executive orders. Sometimes the courts are going to step in and say, no, you can't do that, but he's still making an effort and doing his part. Some things are going to go to the Supreme Court, and it's not going to always be a win for America, but we know who needs to be voted out in those situations, whether it's Congress members. I guess they stay on the court forever on the Supreme Court, but whoever can be taken out of their position should be taken out of their position, be it voting or whatever we can do. Anyway, this person says people think Trump was rude, but the reporter has a track record of insulting Trump, calling him a Nazi, etc. And OFC working and of working for a completely biased network. So he deserved it. How sad it is that we Americans have to go to another country to get honest news. Australia, I love you. Yes. So anyway, there's where we're at. We've got lefties losing it all the time, but yes. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great afternoon. I'll see y'all around. Bye.